So I feel guilty some of the time for the things I haven't moved on from. I like to think I can enjoy things without getting like all the way sucked into a community and these weird like niche forums all with uh scary ironic avatars and like really specific forum debates and hours long discussions over fringe theories. But a lot of the time I feel like a hypocrite too. In a lot of ways, I like a lot of the same things that I did like 9 or 10 years ago. And I'm 20 now. Um, you know, maybe, maybe it's more like 7 or 8 years. But it still makes you feel like a child in some respects. And maybe I don't like it in the same way I used to, you know. Maybe I've grown up and I understand a little better. But, or maybe that's just like something I tell myself. Because it seems to like grab a hold of me. Or it did at a really young age. And I'm like afraid to lose like a certain childhood magic that I didn't even believe in when I was younger. Definitely don't think I'm alone in this respect. For other early-ish 2000s kids, hopefully not too many too much younger than me, well, maybe more grow out of it than I realize. A lot of these kinds of dead accounts on Twitter, I don't know. To me at least, if you go to the right parts of the internet, either I'm totally out of touch and I'm just sharing the space with a bunch of teenagers, or this culture never really died. These boisterous Tumblr, DeviantArt communities that live and breathe their fandoms and swap them out every year. They live on or they keep on graduating to adult or, like adult things. I won't pretend I haven't spent like the last 3 years plunging myself back in old fandoms or, watching things that were sort of fandom adjacent that I never bothered to at the time. But I guess if there's one piece of media that's like really embodies what I'm talking about, that's really never let go, that's Undertale. I think this man here, he's a big reason for that. Toby Fox, genius, prodigy, enigma, potential psycho. I think a lot of us have become like obsessed with him, even more than Undertale and Deltarune and the games themselves. Because frankly, he's brilliant and he's mysterious, and intentionally or not, he does everything possible to magnify that image. Yes, I'm sure it's a character, but you can't make this your only public appearance. You can't say you hate interviews. You can't be a dog half the time. And you can't be so consistently brilliant without people falling in love with you. I'm definitely among those weird devotees. I had to check my email to find out when I actually bought Undertale, and I was a little later to the party than I realized. I waited till August 5th, 2016 to buy it. But what do you know? I'm still here. This is a side note. There's this weird meta now where I've seen people insist the music is the only remarkable thing about Undertale. And just no. The music is the music, but it's not what made Undertale special, in my opinion. Undertale is Undertale because it sort of just effortlessly subverts RPG tropes. It insists on not taking any of its characters for granted. Has a really cool dedication to dragging the story into every facet of its gameplay. Like, Toby made the game in the first place because he was sick of bog standard RPG nonsense. And yes, it's been said, but here you have a guy who at 24 years old, fresh off people fawning over his Homestuck music when he was even younger, who identified limitations of bog standard RPG nonsense, taught himself new game engine, wrote a big old script with branching pathways people are still covering today, and who casually composed 2 hours of soundtrack on the side. It's all pretty darn impressive. And before we get all into Undertale, I think I should establish at this point, I think I'm still more in awe of it than I'm like part of the still existing fandom, that traditional fandom. Even when I was younger, I didn't care that much about watching Let's Players, go through pacifist genocide. I was definitely never part of like the people who got mad at Let's Players for playing it a certain way. Um, that's not like me saying, I'm all classy with a cigar and top hat. And that's not me saying I didn't like fall terribly in love with certain characters in a weird way. I just me saying, like, I think part of me wishes I was Toby Fox. And I sort of wonder how much of the fandom that's still around also feels that way. I think a lot of us have grown up thinking we're, like, created or gifted. Especially the kinds of people that this part of the internet attracts. And I feel like Undertale is just, at the time, it was like the hub for that kind of person. There's like this mysterious genius at the center of it, and then there's seemingly hundreds and thousands of talented people contributing to the art world around it, contributing their wacky theories, some of which even turned out to be true. There's just so much that, for me personally, it was so easy to get lost. Seeing hundreds of other people who could, like, do what you thought was your thing way better than you. And I wonder if everyone around me has, like, gradually come to the same realization. And the thing is, I think Toby understood this a lot better than he let on. It's been noted before, in the midst of lore obsession and heart-shaped hate mobs, that Undertale is a game about fandom. It's about how fandom can create loving, devoted communities, but at the same time can strip your individuality. Make you stupid, it can make you absolutely obsessed with something in your short little life. In that very video, that's from 6 years ago, mind you, Bomber Guy has a lot of similar feelings to me, I think. Loves Undertale, calls it never-ending trip to Funtown. But with a strength I don't have, he recognizes that Undertale is a game about not loving Undertale too much. Straight up, he just says goodbye to it. As far as I know, he's never mentioned it again. By the way, if you're like a younger Undertale fan, you should probably watch that video so you don't end up like me. I like saying pArAsOcIaL Dreamer over here. It's my favorite character in fiction. It's quite a take, I know, but it's powerful stuff for a silly little game. The idea that you can take, like, a sweet little kid and not even place an evil curse on him or anything, but, like, just take his emotions away and his love away, and that turns him into this. That's powerful, man. I love it. Now here I am, 7 years later, still obsessed with that same thing. I still don't want to stop playing. I don't want the game to end. If you think about the implications of Undertale as this bastion of anti-completionism, it gets even more interesting. It's sort of like a drug that knows it's a drug, makes you fall in love with this and that, and every single character, and then at the very end it asks you, in earnest, don't you have anything better to do? And sure, Toby says he didn't expect it to be so popular. He thought it was just an 8 out of 10 very niche sort of game. Something this meta, something this self-referential. I feel like it's dependent on you knowing how other people perceive it. This is a point Dan Olsen addresses in his playthrough. Genocide Run doesn't happen by accident. You did a genocide because the fandom told you that you could. At this point, Toby knows you're interacting with the game on a totally different level. Think about the implication here from a creator's perspective. Toby knew to some extent this fandom would spring up. Toby is a genius, but he's one who knows the effect he has on people. He tries his damnedest to create without turning his fans into weird sycophants. There are definitely questions about how well that worked. Like, there are still people like me around. There are still plenty of those aforementioned weird sycophants. You still have a community that's lore obsessed and theorizing about every minute detail with the promise that Castor's gonna pop up any minute now. This compared to, like, the literal handful of videos that analyze either Undertale or Deltarune from a thematic perspective. But I really love this idea of like someone brilliant and an artist no less, who recognize this power that they have over people. And in their big magnum opus, he goes and tells everyone, please, not to stay too long. And so you ask me, Toby, don't I have anything better to do? And I guess the answer is no. And also, no, I don't think I'll ever be as creative as you or good as you, but, I guess I'll try.